Hey everybody, it's Rachel Castille. I'm filling in today for Apostle Vincent Friday Night Feast, and I'm gonna just share my journey related to the month of Sivan. So Sivan is about business. It's also about wealth and glory and coming into alignment with what God has called you to do. Also, the relationships that God wants to bring into your life and how there's purpose in that divine alignment. So, um, my journey with business, I guess I'll kind of go in on that, has been a long journey in terms of like hearing God at a young age regarding business. And um, just my background, I grew up Pentecostal. And coming out of high school, I had vision for business. I bumped into a business mentor who taught business skills to people in every industry. People would come to her events to grow in their career, to, just as a catalyst for change in those areas to get more skills and stuff. And I came across her right outside of high school, like the summer or so after I graduated. And it was like a light at the end of the tunnel for me at that point, where I knew there was something in my heart that I was born to do. And it was like she was kind of watering that seed within me. But in my upbringing, I had a lot of bondage, to say it simply. Just emotional stuff I walked through, just the religion, having very specific views in how business is supposed to look, or I grew up kind of isolated in a sense of, um, how do I describe that? Like fearfully, like separated so that I could be um, set apart unto God. But I see a lot of it was rooted in fear, and it wasn't. Um, it needed to break in order for me to walk in all that God has really called me to be, in the space that I'm called to walk in. So that I'm now 28 right now. So about 10 years ago is whenever this started to be highlighted in me. I grew up in a family of business people as well. So my parents, my brothers, they have owned trucking companies. And I've been around that my whole life. So business was always like highlighted to me that yeah, you can start your own way of making money and provide value in your local community. That's what I saw. And then the world of the internet has really inspired me, that I knew that that was significant and would play a part in what God has called me to do. And yeah, like I knew I would be on YouTube way back then. I was inspired by YouTubers. I was inspired by people in the home business industry and how they were able to build businesses online, and that would free up their time and would create leverage for them where they could have residual income and things of that nature really appealed to me. But so much was going on in my soul that I was noticeably bound. Like I felt like I lived in a straitjacket just from how much stuff um, I needed I needed to break off of my heart and my mind in order um, to just be who I was created to be, to do the work that I'm called to do. So it's been a 10-year journey of a lot of things that God spoke to me about back then. I wrote it out. I wrote like I don't remember exactly, but like 14 pages on the computer, like of like what God was pouring into me about my life, like about business, about communities I would start, and how I would develop entrepreneurs and things like that. And then I went through 10 years of seemingly the opposite for a long time, and where I struggled to find belief enough that I could really get there myself. Like I was always holding on to the vision of what God has spoken into me, but just the faith in what needed to break actually breaking in me. So it's been a decade of healing. I could describe it: healing and deliverance and restoration. And the month of Sivan has so much to do with this, about stepping back into those things that God has spoken over you, believing again, um, completing the assignment, stepping into the grace for it. receiving business strategies. I haven't been one to like study the Hebrew months directly for the most part, but like just being in sync with the spirit, this is what God has been doing in me in this month, like really picking me back up and like breaking off wrong alignments and bringing me into new alignments, like a shifting. And just looking zoomed out at this month, like we're wrapping up Sivan, and what has transpired over the last month is completely related to every bit of this. God has begun to show me what I am, who I am, and for me to believe in myself before me seeking somebody else to believe in me, to step into what I know to be true that I'm to do. And yeah, that's a big thing God's been speaking to me about, like not letting, excuse me, not letting naysayers, unbelief, doubt to squash my enthusiasm, to squash what I've been given, what I see, and to continue to be a voice for the things that I've been called to be a voice for. I'm also an Uber driver. I'm a rideshare driver on multiple apps. I drive for Lyft and Uber. I also do medical transportation as well. And that has been a serious like tool that God has used to set me free all the more into this next realm. So a bit of my story. Um, so grew up in the Southeast Texas area. Upon bumping into the business coach, had about a good year and a half of transition of a lot of things breaking within the religion that I was in for me to be free enough to explore into the next season. Just to say it clearly, what I grew up in was very much limited to only that community. So just branching out was me like pushing the barriers. I was doing something not authorized in a sense. So like that was a big breaking that happened around the age of 19. And from there, I moved off like 6 hours from home near that business community and got rooted there for 5 years, started working, just got in the flow of things over there. And then God very clearly come 2020, I heard God's voice clear as day. It's time to move home. I'm going to heal you. And this knowing that I would meet my husband too. And I wound up moving home that summer of 2020, met my husband like 3 months later. And in that time period, when I moved back, I went back and worked for my family's trucking business. I kind of had I worked for a cleaning company too. And God began to heal me regarding the people that I grew up with and just taught me how to serve, how to see myself, how God has spoken over me apart from how people think about me, just from their own constructs. So like God had me in a season and to face all of that, but to learn who I am and to disconnect from the things that I so took on from that season of my life. So coming out of that, I got married in the middle of that time. And then God released me into a season of starting my life coaching business. This has been a big aspect of my life too over the last 10 years, which is the realm of personality types and understanding how people are wired. That's been a passion of mine to study the soul. Like I've always seen the gifts in people, and personality types gave language for what I've been seeing. And so I've specialized in Myers-Briggs or MBTI, also objective personality, which is like an advanced, more accurate typology that's based on Myers-Briggs. And then also the Enneagram, which is an understanding of emotional patterns and yeah, soul health in general. So those two systems have been something I've been studying consistently, like fanatically. I couldn't shake it. I would set it down and realize like, no, this is significant to my actual calling. This is something I'm supposed to do work in this area. So that's something else that God was beginning to birth while I was still working for my family. I'd gotten certified as a life coach in this personality system of the Enneagram. And then I did a coaching session with another Enneagram coach and like a typing session. And he basically laid out his whole business to me, how he did it, how he set it up, everything. And I wound up starting my website the very next day and just got vision that, hey, this can be a business and not just a hobby or a place of expression. So, but yeah, over that time, I got into creating YouTube channels, a space for me to express different parts of myself. I do music as well. As you can see, I have instruments in my office here. And so, yeah, I knew a place to speak in business and in ministry, but then also a place for psychology and helping people related to the soul and to understand themselves and to work through things and to heal from things was a big part of what I know was in me to do. So I began to birth these places of expression, and over time they evolved into much, much more. And so yeah, I had that portion going on, and God released me as I'm thinking it's just about that. Like I'm just going into my coaching business. I got the idea that it had actually been there a long time ago. When I lived in the San Antonio area, I was thinking about Uber, but I lived like an hour out from there. And I was like, this city's not busy enough for it. But the idea always intrigued me. And then once I moved back home, worked for my family, I'm transitioning into feeling the release to do my coaching business. Very clearly, I feel to sign up for Uber and Lyft, and I kept meeting different Lyft drivers and Uber drivers. My husband's grandma, she drove for both apps, and then I met another Uber driver at a fellowship at the pool's house actually around the same time, and it was just like becoming clear to me, like, hey, I could do this. And in a sense, I pictured that as like just this temporary kind of extra money, and it's more about the coaching business, I'm thinking initially. And but in the end, what I've seen, like, so it's been a good year and like 2 months, I think, since I started driving Uber and transitioned from working for my family's business. And I see now, like, that has been God's plan of personal growth for me, to heal me from so much, to see myself, to see how much I've been containing what I carry, that stemmed from me thinking that, in a sense, what I had to say was not a positive influence. And I think in some way I picked that up from when I would speak, me being labeled like kind of like a troublemaker, as in you're influencing people negatively versus your voice is a blessing that you're speaking. And yeah, I just forgot I want to make this video public and share it out while I'm talking. But yeah, that was something I carried, and it very much, let's see. Yeah, that was something that, like, on a instinctual level, I very much just contained myself is the best way to describe it. It's like I saw myself to be um a problem, to see, like, I felt like when I would release my voice, like I was being manipulative. I think that's what it taught me to believe about myself. And yeah, just give me 1 second. Here we go. I don't multitask very well. I tried. So um but yeah, it just I I was afraid to let the bubble up within me freely be released. And I've learned a lot in sales that um whenever you focus on other people and meet the needs of other people and listen and hear them out and not just be there to be heard, you really connect and build rapport. And that does come very naturally to me. But also, I learned who I am in stillness and being able to listen and not being defined by the fact that I was heard or somebody heard what I said. So it's been like this two-way like training that's happened, where I'm just grounded in who I am in the rides that I take. As an Uber driver, I'm doing about 15 to 20 rides a day pretty consistently. I drive like 5 days a week. And yeah, it's just helped me to be um, free from feeling overly defined by the reactions of people, where they are, what they're going through, their attitudes, their view of me, and how to genuinely like have the heart of God for people, to intercede for people. The intercessor in me has grown so much more, where I just know what I'm doing in the spirit regarding people and what I carry my heart towards them, and like God beginning to show me my heart. And yeah, that's been like invaluable. Like there was times where my soul wanted to shift out of this season and move on to something else, and I would be drained, or like um yeah, I would honestly, it's areas of fear, areas of control. I would say control is letting go of control in all these different environments, and knowing that my identity is secure and that I don't have to clench. I don't have to, like, I notice that stuff within myself, those patterns of how I've protected myself, how I've um not been accused of something. I think that's what I was trying to control, is like to always be good to people. And then, but if I label part of myself or what I carry, my message to be not to the benefit of others, I contain my message as though I'm doing them a favor. And that's something that um I've known, that God has created me very influential, and I'm called um to be influential. And that's just a byproduct, I believe, of what I carry. Like I need to actually release it, because I'm called to develop others. I'm called to set other people free. So if I don't let that flow, um, yeah, I'm seriously missing, and I'm out of alignment to live that way. So I just see my whole journey as it's been necessary to break free. It's been necessary um, to get in new environments, to get in new situations, because they would produce a certain level of growth that I couldn't get in another setting. So it's like recognizing when it's time to move. Like you have to move, or you get stale, you get stagnant. Um, the comfort zone is not producing anything good in my life anymore, in your life. Um, so yeah, I've just seen seasons of shifting, and seasons of preparation. So, um, yeah, very much, um, very much has been a lot of growth, a lot of being uncomfortable. But God has begun to heal so much in me and restore a hope regarding business, and just about my impact, and connecting me with people that I know God wants me to be connected with. Um, One thing within being an Uber driver, I meet so many different types of people. I pick up people from doctor's appointments, business people, just everyday, just people in the middle of life struggles, every emotional state. Like, and God's began to deepen a compassion in my heart for different people, for all the different personalities. And it's kind of been a study of people that God has had me on, but God has been teaching me um, the different souls. And that's connected to my life coaching, that I know I've gained a lot in this season. But regarding business, God is teaching me how to offer what I have to people, and how to build rapport with people, like very practical things, like just business skills. Um, and I really want to help other people grow in that area. And my ministry, something God's been speaking to me about, is that I'm called to the marketplace, that's an aspect of being a prophet. That's an aspect of being in ministry, the kingdom. Whenever we take off the church construct, we take off all the ways we kind of thought we were serving God. It's like, what are you left with when you take all that off? That's, I think some people's fear is um, about that. Like, um, yeah, what's next if I detach from this? What next if my network of people turn against me? What if they think that I've missed it? What if, they're all fearful for me in that sort of sense. Um, what you have after that is relationship with God. And that is one on one, where you are, who you are, and who God is. And that's how I found this healing that has come, and this clarity that has come from just walking out um, one step at a time of whatever God has led me to, and trusting the process of what that's going to bring out in me. And yeah, I've, I'll say this. I've been bothered by my buttons constantly like clinking on the thing. I hope it's not making a lot of noise, but um yeah, but it's been a healing journey through obedience. Is how God has begun to unravel me from wrong alignments, wrong attachments, things that have kept me serving, um, things that had to die in my heart in order for me to just be me, for me to be comfortable in my own skin, me be clear on what's inside of me, and me walk in the wisdom and the counsel and the strategies to be successful in what God put inside of me. So we all have gifts. We have very specific, a bent in a certain direction that God has wired us for. What is fulfilling to us is based on how God created us. So there's a process of detoxing from all the things that's been projected on you that in ways that we've served other people's opinions about us. It's easy to walk out an entire path that's based on what your parents want you to do in life, um, or to hide parts of yourself because they won't approve of that part of you, things of that nature. Um, and it's necessary to face those things. The Spirit of God is going to bring those things to your attention and give you the grace, give you the clarity on how to get unhooked from that, and to show you what it's costing you, like what joy it's costing you, what peace it's costing you, what purpose, what wealth, what prosperity, what relationships is costing you to be anchored in a place that you're not called to be in. That's appealing to something that what God has showed me is the areas in which I was trying to control something. That was why I couldn't get in my purpose. That's why I couldn't get in my calling, because we have such powerful free will. Like our will is very, very strong. So in being stuck, I'm stuck because of a part of me that anchored to something that's not willing to let go. Even if it's not conscious, I've made a decision in my heart. And if my mind's not even aware of it, my mind thinks, oh, I'm good, I'm good. But the heart is anchored to something because it's trying to prevent something it doesn't want. Those are the things um, that hold us back, and why we can't get moving in a direction consistently, why we fall off, why we keep going back into the same cycles. There's things that either we're emotionally not wanting to experience, and we found coping strategies, we found ways um, to prevent that thing from happening. And it's also why we're stuck. It's also why we've gone to sleep and we're not living as our real selves. And when we look at religion, the church, and all that stuff, it really is just a method of managing some of these soulish things. Um, I can feel good about myself because of my participation. My parents are proud of me because of my participation. This is how I feel that I've made penance for what I did this week. Like whatever it is, this is how I feel like I'm adding to society. This is how I feel like I'm contributing. Um, yeah, these are some of the things um, that we attach to as a temporary solution that we then get accustomed to because of the results we get from it. And but yeah, they bind us. So it's very necessary to see yourself clearly, kind of get into the personality stuff a bit, and how that has helped me in me studying personality types. Funny enough, like in me being able to see other people really well and be able to discern these different types, I struggled to see myself, because knowledge doesn't become light, it doesn't become sight, it's knowledge. So seeing yourself is related to you letting light into your own soul. meaning you're letting God speak into places that would dispel your illusion or delusion that you live in. In general, we all think what we're seeing is the truth. And that's why we need the spirit of truth to illuminate us and lead us into all truth. So we can see this lower truth isn't the higher truth. It seemed true, but because I believed it, it kept me in this cycle. And it just self-fulfilling prophecy of what that produces in my life. Um, so yeah, the importance of seeing yourself, um, it's something that you have to give way to. You have to seek it. Like you have to desire to see and be willing to process things that are different than how you believed about yourself. And that's how we begin to open ourselves up to the voice of God in our life, because God is speaking to every one of us. It just maybe the voice is calling you to something that then would create turbulence in some relationships. So it's easier to just like reframe it, push that out of focus, and go back to sleep in a sense. And so yeah, typology, which is type psychology, it's a type of um, personality system. Like the study of personality is called typology, the idea of personality types. Um, but yeah, the whole study of it, um, it is seeing you as you are, not how you see yourself, but as you are. So in my knowledge of type, um, it got extremely accurate and very clear. It's amazing that there have been people that's gone before me, not just me, but in a sense, like I love, you know, I don't think we should live some way that we think like, oh, science and all this other observations, it's just demonic, don't go look into like I ran into that a lot in a sense of like, what are you doing looking at that stuff? What are you studying? You're always looking at that stuff. Who really started the Enneagram? Who, like that whole idea, like the truth is that there's a lot of observations that have been made in different cultures that have a lot of truth in it. And when the spirit is showing you something, how these types have been articulated, it's extremely insightful regarding the different types of souls and how we're wired and how we make decisions. What type of information we're attuned to, if we're an introvert or an extrovert, what cognitive processes are going on in the mind, what's being prioritized. These things have been detailed by people in the last couple, I would say the last 100 years, it's really been brought to market in a sense. But over the last few 100 years, there's always been some type of personality system where people can see different motivations in people. And but yeah, in understanding type though, and seeing and discerning these things, it still didn't help me fully discern myself until I began to give God permission to show me, because the things that were true is different than what I want to believe about myself. And that's been a journey. If you're living in insecurities, you see what you're weak at, and you see when you do good in that area, so you over identify with it. It's very easy to see um, that side of yourself as opposed to what you're doing all the time on autopilot that other people can see, that sort of thing. Or making fun of a struggle that you see in other people. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, that behavior is so, just always getting on that when you see it in somebody else. It has a lot to do with sometimes, like, I'm not going to make a blanket statement, but it could be your pattern that you're working on and you feel like you overcame, but so yeah, in a sense, like, relationship with God has helped me in this journey of all the knowledge of personality types to see myself enough to see what I really was doing. And it's like this feeling of being naked. When you really know your type, you feel naked and you got to process it. It's like, whoa, I see that in the whole story of my life. So, um, by the way, if you're ever interested in being typed in either of these systems, you can go to my website, typologycorner.com. Probably the easiest way to find all my links is rachelcastille.com. It's probably easier for you to know how to spell. Typology is a kind of a different words. So, but yeah, all my links are there. My coaching, everything that I do. You can find some link to kind of go into that. But yeah, I meet with people on Zoom. I type people, I coach people based on their type. I do general life coaching, just helping people work through stuff to connect, to just hear the voice of God and get more clarity through things and counsel. God just really speaks to people in that space. I love it. And so yeah, I'm available for that. Feel free to book a consultation with me. It's all on my website. But yeah, the importance of seeing yourself, because the things that are holding you back is something you have made a decision to do. You've made a decision to self-protect. You're avoiding something you fear, chasing something you desire. So whenever you can see your habitual patterns, it gives you the option to choose something new, to wake up, to see it and go, well, what do I want to do? Do I do what I've always done? But what else could I do in this moment? And God can show you that and walk you out of these patterns and heal you and walk you back into health. And the big thing about the Enneagram, which is very much like our emotional patterns that are rooted in childhood, rooted in things that we believed, that became just the unconscious pattern we went to sleep into. So the idea of the Enneagram is like waking back up to the child that you were before you went to sleep and began protecting yourself, began believing lies, in a sense, that God's truth, each type needs a different truth because they believe a different lie. So as God begins to minister to your heart and as you begin to see what's going on in your heart, you can like wake up from it. And sight and just seeing it is step one. Admitting it, seeing it, and waking up from it. You wake back up to who God created you to be. So it's like a journey from brokenness back to divinity, back to that true, pure state that we are created, that we are. We're not the darkness. We just got over identified by it. We got over identified with lies. So the truth really does set us free. So that's my love and fascination with personality types, because it is so needed, because you need to know the uniqueness of you. You need to know yourself. People know you better than you, and based on their heart, they're manipulating you because of what they can see. They see your triggers and they're working you, in a sense. So the more you wake up, the more you can see the games and then begin to heal other people as a healed person. So it gets you out of the realm of fighting, defending, protecting, all that. When you just see yourself, you can see others too, and you become an agent of restoration and waking other people up. So that's a big part of my heart as a movement, really, of Typology Corner. What it's about healing, it's about wholeness, and whole people healing other people. So yeah. So what else to say on that? Yeah, typology. It's a journey with God, the best way to say it. It's a choice to see yourself. It's a choice to wake up. And then now that you're awake, what are you called to do? What was in there that went to sleep too? What are the gifts that you have? What's in your heart? Um, Nobody can push you into something if you know who you are. You'll know what is for you. So again, it's important to know what is for you. It's important to know what your gifts are. It's important to know what's a good fit and what's not. A lot of us are living very opposite lives of how God created us. But yeah, every gift that's within you, you're called to bring that to market. Just to back talking about business, we're all in sales. Something Danny Johnson, who was the business mentor that I encountered 10 years ago, her training has helped me so much, like people skills, business skills, all kinds of areas. I still have a lot of her audios and listen to one product called Magnetic Influence. It's the best product on people skills. Her just teaching you how to build rapport, genuinely, how to actually not be selfish and to hear the needs of other people and to present what you have based on what they actually need, not you trying to just put what you offer on them. So yeah, how to share your story and your journey in the way that you do it. But Yeah, so that's a really great product. I'm such a marketer, so yeah. Her website is destinyglobal.com. Go there and purchase that. I think everybody should have it in every career, in everything that you do. There's something you'll get from that, the people skills on that. But yeah. Um, what was I saying? But yeah, people skills that I was learning. Um, yeah, I actually I lost what I was connecting it to, but it's all good. Uh, but yeah, I learned a lot um of just how to bring to market whatever it is that is within me. There we go. Whatever your gift is, it's to be brought to market. Every gift that we have is for other people. When you look at, teacher, what do teachers do? Teach other people. Prophets, they are helping to stir up the true identity and prophesying and speaking into the divinity, the realness of who people are. This is so true to my nature and my core, to help people in the job market, in the world of taking what you are and bringing it to market and being successful at it. Um, Also, the importance of breaking off everything you're not, so what you are can come forth. Um, but yeah, it's important to know the skills you need in order to do that. And they're all heart related, is what I've come to see. It's not just like, oh, a skill set. Oh, I learned how to say the thing right. We communicate our hearts constantly. People feel each other's hearts, and then we feel the disconnect in the words from the heart. So, really, the journey is about the more you clean up the heart, the more you genuinely and purely do the work that flows from the heart. Um, and knowing what's motivating your heart is definitely something you want to work on, because what you in your mind think you're doing, your heart is actually trying to accomplish something different because of lack, because of what it's trying to get from somebody else. So, yeah, if you don't work on your heart, if you don't forgive, if you don't begin to see yourself as God sees you and begin to love yourself as God loves you, you will be doing things for the wrong reason, and it will bear fruit of that. So not to live fearfully, or to fear building something that needs to be cleaned up. It's just, we're all a work in progress. Like something I just saw, like the Shaq movie, whenever Sadi Yu, so Holy Spirit, is walking through the garden, and there's like all these weeds and all these wildflowers, and Max says, "Man, isn't this a mess?" And she says something like, "Yeah, isn't it beautiful? This is you. Like, we're walking in the garden of your heart." So, like, as you begin to love yourself where you are, that's how you even progress. If you can't be at peace and love yourself the way God loves you, God loves you enough to meet you where you are and to love you in that place, in that quote unquote messy garden. Yeah, if you can't treat yourself better, you'll always be stuck in your cycles because you're ashamed of your cycles. So, um, yeah, but yeah, the process of bringing what you are to market, it's a heart cleaning process, but it's also an expression of the heart. You have to express it, whether you need to express that in a journal. Um, get the truth of what is on the inside of you out. If you feel like you don't have a safe place, let your journal, let God be that place. And I began to do that. I realized the importance of writing something out when I was struggling to believe. I needed to like get it out. And even if I read it, it was like, this is crazy that I wrote this. I wrote it, I got it out. I told the truth. Um, it came up in my heart. So there's something to it. I tell y'all I'm getting freedom just talking right now. I it's a thing. I'm not ashamed of it. I kind of have been ashamed of it a lot. But yeah, I'm grateful that things are breaking off of me as I do what I'm called to do. I'm called to speak. I'm called to share in these areas. This is like what I could just talk for days and days on things like this. I would share this stuff with my mom and my younger brother when I first was like making my like stirring up what was in me and sharing it. I had safe places in a sense, and I walked away with a lot of condemnation for my influence from that season of my life. And yeah, so God's healing me right now as I am on live, so Yeah, this brings me joy. Like, imagine if I didn't step back into it. Yeah. What if I listened to how people saw me when I knew what was in me wasn't coming out, but I knew it was there and there was no proof of it around me? Or if there was, I felt like in me wanting affirmation or validation, it was like people not saying what they see. And it's not even that people didn't. It's me being anchored to the who I wanted to affirm me wasn't affirming me, wasn't seeing me correctly. And I was just like moving at the pace of that affirmation or the lack of it, truly. So it's been a journey. There's a lot I could share on that, but yeah, um, God is bringing that up, that the authentic message that I carry, that I have a place for it. And I'm grateful to Apostle Vincent, who is my spiritual dad. He's amazing. Mama Joe, I love them. They've been such a blessing in my life. Just genuinely, they're just family to me, you know? And it's amazing when you're around people who don't have to tell you much at all, but just who they are supports who you really are. So who you're not is feeling conflicted around them. All that stuff starting to break and you're feeling awkward and you're feeling all this stuff coming up in you. Well, that's the beauty of being around people who are rooted in their identity, that it begins to stir up yours. That is the work of the prophet. And my husband is the same way. Like, my relationship with him has caused this. It's been an unraveling in the best kind of way, calling me back up to what is in my heart to do. Just purely by the authenticity of their own obedience to their own identity. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, this is what God is saying in this season is come back into alignment. What's in your heart, write it out, ask for counsel, ask for wisdom, find a way to launch it, find a way to fan that flame, create a platform. Like, we're in the best time ever. Like, anybody can, I was about to say, like, get a webcam, but like, your phone has a camera, YouTube is a free account. Facebook is a free account. All these platforms are free, and they connect us to people all over the world. So you can create a space, you can create a community around what's in your heart, around what you want to do. Yeah, this is the easiest time to create your own kingdom. People might say, "What? My kingdom?" Like that's some negative thing. No, we are kings, we are priests. You need to expand your territory. You need to take dominion in the area in which you're sent. You're on earth for a reason. Or you might as well just, like, I won't say that. I'll just say you said yes to it. That's why you're here. And we're all dying prematurely. We were not sent here to die. We were sent here to bring heaven to earth, to make earth look like heaven. We are the solutions. That's the biggest thing. We are the solution. So in that regard, we're all business people. We're all in sales. Danny Johnson says it all the time. You think you're not in sales? No, you are. You're selling an idea. You're selling your kids on cleaning their room. You're selling, you're selling your boss on getting a raise. You're selling the customers on getting in a single file line. Like, everybody's selling. It's just, are you good at sales? Or do you stink at it? So I love how that training has been, like, instilled in me. I used to listen to her stuff, write whole notebooks full of, like, notes on everything she was saying, writing, like, every word, just got it in me. And then just had so much bondage in my soul where it was like, will this ever be birthed? 10 years, right? 10 years. But yeah, we're all in sales. If you sew, can you get people to buy your stuff when you made it? You're in sales. If you make music, can you get people to buy your music? Can you get people to show up to the venue? If you do coaching, are you getting clients? Are all these things? Everything is sales. Can you sell your boss on not firing you when layoffs happen? Um, that I'm just trying to expand your perspective. It's like everybody's in sales, and when you're true to who you're created to be, you carry power. You have power. I'm definitely anointed for business. I know that, but it's true. The anointing is to launch other people in business. Again, like I said, every gift is for other people. So if I'm gifted, I have to do this work because the work is for others. Yeah. This is my fascination with personality types, was to help other people know themselves and to be comfortable with the therapy that a relationship is. Like a healthy relationship is therapeutic. So people who are against therapy don't have healthy relationships. So just like making new norms, like I realized like being influential is a good thing in what you're actually called to do. So don't be intimidated to be an influence in what you know is true to you. What is at your core? Um, Ruffle the feathers you're born to ruffle. Yeah. You can't please everybody. Know your niche, know your target market. That matters. Imagine you trying to keep people that have to break off in your life, at least for this season. Joseph was hated by his brothers, but one day they came for food. And guess what? You need to be forgiving. You need to be welcoming. You need to be ready to give that, to be able to host on the other side of that. So I relate to that story in a lot of my life. Just I've been in different networks, different groups, and I've gone through that test multiple times. And it can bring the absolute best out of you if you let it happen. It's all about the heart. What do you do in your heart when those things happen to you? It either forges you to be every bit of what you're made to be, or it shuts you down, which is the assignment. It's kind of sent to see if it'll shut you down. This is not true to the original story, but I learned that from real One Piece fans. But I watched the One Piece Netflix series, and in that they have Garp and Luffy, which is grandpa and grandson, as though Garp is like attacking him almost the whole series. But in the end, he's like, I always knew who you were. I wanted to see if you knew. And now I see that you do. So go do what you got to do. But he opposed him the whole time. So it was a cool story. That really stood out to me. So yeah, who you're created to be will stand the test of time. It's not vulnerable. It's not afraid. It knows its lane. It knows its people, and it knows its standards. It knows its value. And that's a beautiful place of rest and peace and joy and life and hope. And I genuinely just enjoy the life that's flowing in and through me right now. It felt so locked down for so long. So I just breathe it in. We're all alive. We're all living beings. This is my heart for worship and presence too. So something that I'm birthing in time, and things I think that's in this season is shifting, and things I see it's necessary for me to step into business and step into certain aspects of my life, because it's breaking off something that has had my music contained too. So it's just trusting the process, getting in the flow, letting the soul unwind, letting the soul heal, letting the soul be free. We weren't created to live uptight. Like, we're made to live in full communion all the time. Imagine being in communion with the well that never runs dry. all the time, you're never in lack. Like, you have what you need. You have the answers. You are the solution. You have what other people need. You have the full supply of the seven spirits. You have the voice of God informing you. When you live in union, there is no lack. So you can be a distributor. You can be a good king. You can be a good priest. And that's also important why you need to know how God created you. It's all, the state of flow is whenever you're in flow with who God made you to be, and you're in flow with the relationship with God and the union in your own divinity. And you operate, God created you in his image to operate as him in the earth. We're not to be Christ's followers. We are to become the Christ, the Messiah that we are as a son of God ourselves, as a divine son of God. We are born again of the divine nature, born again from our mother, Holy Spirit, as what Yeshua is, the Christ, the anointed one, that nature. He came to duplicate himself, to demonstrate the bare minimum of what sonship is like. He stayed in constant fellowship with Holy Spirit, constant fellowship with the Father, and showed us how to walk in both realms at the same time. He knew his identity. He knew who he was. He saw clearly. If you're constantly seeing, I go back to the speck and the mote and the speck. If you can only see the specks, you got a big moat. Like, sight shows both. God shows both. And the more the moat is out, you get to see people not as their problems, but they're currently stuck in a problem that's not who they are. That's where that hope, that's where the full picture, where you can love people where they are, and that love actually moves them out of that place because it's real love. Judgment doesn't heal people. Perception does, truth does, right? Truth sees it as it is, yes, but love heals the thing that has them even stuck there. So it loses its hold, So yeah, God loves us very much. God loves us so much. God loves us enough to give us personal time, personal attention. That is what God created us for, is intimacy. Don't ever believe that you're not worthy of attention. I think that's a human thing, right? People always want to go on about, oh, she's just trying to get attention. Oh, they're just seeking attention. Oh my God, do you see them? Isn't that so pathetic? Everybody wants attention. Like, everybody wants to experience being heard, being seen. That's not a negative thing. That is a human reality, how we are created. We are created to live in a union where we're always being seen, we're always being known, we're always being heard, where I think something and God responds before I can say it because I'm that paid attention to. Most of our issues comes from the first 4 years of our life and what happened in it. It shaped our world. No matter how the adult looks back on it and says, oh, I know that ain't true. No, but in the heart is still 4. It's still stuck. It still believes what the 4-year-old believed. So this is a process, but don't be afraid. Yield to it. Have faith in the process. Where you could get without being healed, it's so much less. You could become a millionaire. You could have all kinds of stuff and you missed it. Like, it's not that you missed it because you're a millionaire, but if you're not healed, you can't feel what it's really supposed to feel like, what experience you're living in that reality. Like, to be healed and to live in union with God, everything is just a revelation of who God is. Like, God is wealth. God is provision. God is abundance. God is joy. I am the carrier of it, is the bigger revelation. Because of the union, it's like, this is what I am. Therefore, you can stand in your identity in the face of all kinds of opposing messages that try to pitch you to see if you'll believe what's being projected on you. You have purpose, you have value, and you find that in a healthy relationship. And the healthiest, most light-filled, wisdom-filled, clarity relationship is with God. God is light. God is truth. God is love. God is fire. So I found my resting place in those attributes of who God is, and it sets me free. It delivers me. It brings clarity to things. What I need in this season has everything to do with my soul, my being, what I'm believing, what I need to learn, what I need to shift into. That our lives are exactly a reflection of our soul. Quite literally, if the soul is not clear, that's why our lives are jacked up. Like, literally. You were born to be successful. You were born to thrive. You were born to take what you are, and lots of people benefit from it. And like this false humility, this false like contentment of like, oh, I'm fine with just me and this and my little pension and my little disability. I don't want to get off of disability. I don't want to make money because then I won't have my disability. You know, you were made for so much more. Like, don't settle. Don't settle. What you actually care that you've gone to sleep to, it will bear good fruit when it's coming from a place of life. And if you feel that there's death has taken over in certain areas, you need to let the living water flow to that area and medicate it for a while. Heal it. Let the living water just soothe it until it comes to life again. Like, none of us have any permanent diseases. That's the biggest lie of the pharmaceutical industry. The health industry is, I'll say, it's one of the biggest scams of our generation. Of the last few hundred years, this like everybody's relying on a pill, relying on the almighty doctor, the almighty healthcare system, but it's not healing people. Okay, just to clarify, there are people in that industry that are absolutely doing God's work, and they're meeting people where they are. We're in a systemic problem, so it's not, our generation didn't do this. So just know God needs people in every place to do the work that needs to be done because of the state of things and the way that they are. But I speak to the fact that the living water can bring everything back online. It can restore balance. It can restore us back. God give us the wisdom. If it is something that our body is lacking, where to get it, and how to live in the presence of God, how to live in life that you come out of fear, you come out of these things that's actually wearing down, tearing down your immunity, making you vulnerable to things you never would be if your soul wasn't in so much trauma, if your soul wasn't in all these holding patterns, you wouldn't even be getting sick, So back to the importance of us seeing ourselves. We can't be so attached to our own perspective. We need God to speak into everything, in every belief, and every perception, so we can walk in actual truth. And yeah, wealth is your portion. That's what you're created for. You're just not living fully in your divinity. You are in agreement with something that's lower, a lower state, a lower identity, and it's producing fruit in your life. So yeah, I just want to encourage you, listen to the voice of God, journal out whatever is in your heart, and say, God, what are we going to do about this? I'm really angry at this person. I don't know that I can even forgive that person for that. That was just, oh my God. I think I'm ugly. I think I can't ever be successful. I think, yeah, I don't have worth. Whatever that real story is for you, get it out. Get it out. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth to yourself. Tell the truth to God. Ask God for safe places where you can tell the truth. Because in the truth, there's freedom. In the truth, there's a plan to clean it up. There's a plan to redeem it. It's all about redemption. It's all about God's always bringing you back into alignment. There's no place you can be where God's like, yep, you too far off course. I'm not creative enough. I'm out of ideas. I don't know how to get you from here to here. You went way too south. Like you went way off the charts. That'll never happen. But if you believe that, then absolutely you will not receive your rescue plan. Your will keep it out of focus. You will reject it when it comes. One of the biggest things God has been talking to me about is being open. And in order to be open, you got to see where you're closed. How God shows you that is putting you in different environments, putting you around people that make you feel insecure, people who trigger things in you. If you just run back to your comfort zone, you just got a way to unsee that about yourself. Or if you just wanted to judge those people and say, oh, they're so stuck up, they think they're somebody. It's like, no, maybe they make you feel insecure. Maybe you need to sit with that and see what you believe about yourself in their presence. That's what I found. I found my heart run from my divine appointments, run from the places that I needed to be in. And then I see it and I was like, God, I thank you for showing it to me. It was uncomfortable. But man, what if I didn't see that? What if I kept myself in a realm where I never got to see that again? And that's the thing. That's the truth of the matter is we can never wake up. We can stay around a certain group of people that make us feel a certain way. So we can stay big and tall in that little place. But we weren't sent here just to work a 9 to 5, retire, and then have no vision in our retirement, get riddled with disease out of nowhere, and die. We perish for a lack of vision, a lack of knowledge. It's the truth. Like we're sent here to do things. So it's important that we face our delusions. Because it's the only reason why we're not successful at what we're created for. I don't care if what you do seems minuscule in whatever spectrum you'd compare it on. Whatever is actually in your heart, it'll bear good fruit. And don't ever look down on what that is. If it brings you joy, it's your thing. It's your thing. If it's teaching kids how to tie their shoes, like whatever it is, like if you get absolute joy in like seeing the next person gain something you have that you know and you see them like thrive at it, that's amazing. Like that's part of what you are. Now you may use that in lots of different contexts. You'll use that gift in ways that you get like promoted into new audiences, new assignments, but it relates to how God created you. So yeah, that's really important that you value your thing and don't compare it to somebody else. What you're called to is your gift. It's your gift. Having what somebody else is doing wouldn't even fulfill you. You may think so. When you go walk it out, it's like, this ain't, I really just wanted to paint. Man, I just really wanted to paint. Though. People told me my paintings would never sell. You need to go do something else, you know? It's like, no, walk it out and God will show you. God will connect you. You living in the joy of what you're created for. God, your gift will make room for you. So yeah, I'm going to check the comments, see if there's any questions. But yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all all being on today. God bless you all. So some final thoughts again. To find my different resources, rachelcastille.com is the easiest way. My life coaching business is Typology Corner. The website is typologycorner.com. You can book sessions with me. I type in Myers-Briggs, break that down a little bit. It's a 4 dichotomy system, looking if you're an introvert or an extrovert, if you're a sensing dominant person or an intuitive dominant person, if you're a thinker or a feeler, in terms of how you make decisions, if you're a judger or a perceiver, as in, are you leading with decision making and then observation, or are you more of an observer um, who makes decisions secondarily to the observation? So it's a read of how you're wired, if you're focused on the outside world first, if you're focused internally, and what are those processes. We all have a dominant observer. We are looking at the facts, the concrete of the situation, or we're looking at the intuitive connections between things and we're observing those things most dominantly. What are you actually relying on the most? Everybody has everything, but what is the order of your cognition? In decision making, are you making decisions on values, on what's harmonious with the group, or what is your personal values, and what do you like and dislike? What is popular in society? Making a decision that's going to be congruent with your values or the values of people, or what is logical? What is the thinking, the reasons behind something? What is efficient? What works for me? The understanding of things. So a more thinking dominant person will make those types of decisions more dominantly. So yeah, just looking at the whole world of that. I make a lot of videos on that on YouTube. My channel is Typology Corner for the world of personality types. So yeah, definitely dive into that if you want to learn more. The Enneagram is about heart patterns. We have 3 centers of intelligence, all of us. We can make gut decisions, heart decisions, or head decisions. And those 3 centers of intelligence, out of the 9 Enneagram types, 3 are dominantly rooted in each of those. So we're kind of out of balance in a sense into one of those areas more than the others. And those 3 centers of intelligence have a core emotional struggle. So the types that are rooted in the gut triad are struggling with anger, and they're kind of justice oriented and boundaries and things of that nature. Managing anger, suppressing it, expressing it, denying it. The 3 types in the heart triad are struggling with the emotion of shame. Who am I? What's my value? Having a sense of not knowing their value, and it sends them into some coping strategy to produce value. And it attaches them to other people. Finding validation or affirmation seems almost like the weakness of, like, I need that. I need to be affirmed in some way. Or I'm finding value through being successful in the eyes of other people, or being helpful, or being unique, being individualistic, setting myself apart. All these different ways to create a sense of identity when they're struggling with the issue of worth and wanting to manage the emotion of shame in some way. And then in the head triad, they're struggling with anxiety and fear dominantly, managing that, feeling wanting to feel secure, to be safe, and how they bring that about in their life with their own strategies of how they get those needs met surrounding that, to manage the anxiety, to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel yeah, that everything's going to be okay in a sense. So yeah, the Enneagram is incredible. It is how we've gone to sleep into the coping strategy that we used at a young age that managed that for us in some way. So as we wake up from it, we begin to really come back into the present. The Enneagram I like to see it as 9 pathways back to being present. It's how we're not actually present, even though people like, oh, that's just how that person is. And it's like, it can seem like present. There's types that are very gregarious and extroverted, but yeah, this is the patterns we go into. And when you think about God, God is in the present. When we meet in relationship, when a heart is with another heart, you're in the present moment. So we're missing each other if we're in our patterns. So yeah, super, super great for personal growth and seeing yourself very clearly. So between the two types, everybody has a Myers-Briggs type and an Enneagram type. I like to use the image of the camera. The Myers-Briggs is just the pure wiring of how the camera works. And there's growth within that, seeing how we're out of balance within that. And then the Enneagram is the lens on the camera. So if the camera lens is dirty, it's affecting the projection of the image. It's affecting the quality of life. It's the lens we're looking through and seeing everything through. So it really matters if our soul is healthy and how it's doing. Are we in a growth state, or are we stressed out and throwing us back into our patterns? So yeah, I help people see themselves, walk through whatever comes up. It's very organic. It's like whatever's coming up in this session is what needs to be talked about. That's what God is highlighting, and that's what you need to say right now, and we work through that. And so yeah, I do have a very specific 5-session plan of Enneagram coaching. Once you're typed and we're sure of your type, I coach you into just learning more about your type and processing things related around that. But I've had some coaching sessions that it's just very much like, no, it's just we're going off the page, and it's just, this is what this is about, just process. And I watch God reveal what the paper could have like pointed to, the plan in a sense. So it's incredible. I've learned a lot. It's very, very fulfilling. And it stretches me, and I begin to see myself more. So I just love the place of light that God is cultivating coaching to be. It's a place of light for me and a place of light for the other person, to hold space for us to hear God clearer and to get that clarity and healing and freedom in that space. So yeah, so that's one of my businesses. Also, I've gotten started in a gold and silver home business recently, helping people to invest in gold and silver in this season. That is very, very important, especially in America right now with the economy and where things are going. But yeah, gold and silver is real money. And fiat currency, they're just printing more and more money. The value of the dollar is going down, inflation, all this stuff that's occurring. So yeah, gold and silver is, I feel very specifically that this is something God has called me to do. Like I said, I've been on a 10-year journey of stepping into being an entrepreneur and developing other entrepreneurs. And this is a marketing model where I help other people grow their businesses. As I'm building my business, I'm building a team. My team is called Team Dynasty, and I'm helping other people grow in their entrepreneurship and working on these skills. As I'm talking about, the skills of sales is incredibly important, because when you know how to sell yourself or to sell anything, you can take the skill of sales and sell the plants that you're growing. You can sell the things that you're crocheting. You know how to navigate networking and meeting people and bringing value to the marketplace. So I think the home-based business industry is the best place to work on your skill set. And I have struggled and gone in and out of a lot of different home business companies because I didn't feel purpose on it at this level like that I can't just do it just for the money, but it needs to be actually solving a problem in the marketplace that is highly needed right now. So, and it's timeless. Like gold and silver has always been real money. It's always been valuable. Other things, the market changes its mind on like, hey, we don't really care about that no more. So I love stability. I love true value. I love something that is actually making a difference. So a little bit more on that. The model of the business that I'm in is based on a membership. It is an annual membership of $149 for the whole year. And as a member, you get metals straight from the mint, bought straight from the supplier, but through the company, that is the company that I'm a part of, that allows you to get metals at cost, no markup whatsoever. In general, right now, people are getting their bullion, they're getting silver, gold, bars, whatever you want to buy as much as you want, about 18% less than most of the market right now. So incredible right now in this time that we're in. Very simple to share. The company has an amazing marketing system that's fully set up. Like anybody can be plugged into it and learn. So just putting that out there, that's something else that I'm very passionate about, and is a fulfillment of so much of what I've seen in the communities that God has created me to cultivate and to raise up people to be free to build their own dynasties, to be able to create wealth in their own family and in the connections that they make. Like, we're not to be poor, we're not to be in lack. We lack skills, we lack understanding, we lack perception of ourselves enough to get free and get into the fullness of what we're called to do and be. So yeah, this is something I'm very passionate about. I just want to share that with you guys as well. So outside of the two businesses, I do music as well. I have a music channel, Rachel Castille Music. That's something that I see I've been kind of moving in, that I know in the next, I don't like to put time on it. I kind of have said that before, but in the next couple, like next year, the next 2 years, God is birthing an album and music. But God right now is setting me free into this entrepreneurship that will free up my time to be able to like give myself to that more. But I do have a channel right now with like spontaneous worship on there, a couple of songs that I've written. So yeah, definitely check that out. Again, rachelcastille.com has the links to everything that I've mentioned thus far. And lastly, I have a RC Fellowship Discord server, which is a place just to connect with other believers. It's so chill. I love it. Like, some of my like closest friends are on that server, and we get to talk and just flow and share what God is doing in our lives. We play games sometimes in Discord. It's just a lot of fun. It's just some friends hanging out that are growing in the spirit. And so yeah, you're welcome to join that. It's a free community. You just click the link, RC Fellowship. And yeah, you're welcome to come. I host a fellowship every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And yeah, it's just like, I see it, it's like my living room. It's not so much a ministry, but it's just like, hey, my house is open. If you're free, stop by. So yeah, what else? You can add me on Facebook, Rachel Castille on Facebook. And yeah, message me if you need anything. I'd love to chat with you. So yeah, guys, that's about all I've got for today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you, Apostle Vincent, for giving me the opportunity to share today. It's been great getting to talk about business, the month of Sivan. Hey, one more plug, very, very important plug. This is his book, Understanding the Biblical Calendar by Vincent R. Poole. Amazing. He goes over the themes, the patterns of the different seasons and cycles of God, the month of Sivan right here. And it's so on point. Like I said, I haven't been one to like study directly, but just in the flow of the spirit, I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my God, that is what God has been doing in my life. Yes. So if you want a clearer understanding of just the overview of the cycles and the times of God, the different Hebrew months, definitely order his book. Message him on Facebook, reach out to him, and he'll sign a copy. He says this all the time. So yeah, get the signed copy instead of on Amazon. So yeah, just reach out to him and he'll ship it to your house. So yeah, I have to plug the book. It's really good. But so yeah, guys, have a blessed night. I thank you all for listening. I pray it's been a blessing to you. And yeah, I just bless you to walk in all that God has created you to do and to be and to live in rest. And just, there's so much ahead of you. There's so much to be excited for. Like, we're not created to die. Like, just think of the timelessness of that. Like, we are immortal, eternal beings. What do you want to do with your life? You're only perishing because you don't have vision. So go talk to God about that. Start cultivating it through just writing until something comes out that's real. So yeah, guys, that's it. Have a blessed night.